think that's it. Yeah. But we're actually on location today with Melissa and Penny from Saucisson.
Nailed it.
Yes.
Did I get it right?
You nailed it.
France. Yeah. Yeah.
Can I tell you something real fast?
Lean this way. Don't look at your face.
Yeah, I know. The
Hide behind
windscreen
the
really kind of
windscreen.
fucks shit up. But the thing is, like, when I was growing up, like, I remember, my last name is Garitano, right? So that's my grandfather came from Calabria in Italy, and that's what I always gravitated toward, right? And as I grew up, I started to have this, like, disdain of the French, right? We bailed them out of Korea. We bailed them out of World War II. So it was like, oh, the French, right? Waving your fist at them. So then I did the DNA test, Ancestry.com, and the majority of the DNA that came back from my spit was French.
Yup.
You hate yourself.
Yeah, right. And I was,
Very
and
French of you.
I knew my grandmother was French Canadian, but I didn't realize how much French DNA I had actually kept. That was weird to me.
I've always kind of suspected you were part French.
What? Based
There's
on
just
what?
something about you that people don't like.
Is it the kissing?
It is the kissing. Yeah, you insist on saying hello with a nice French kiss.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be one for sure.
Doesn't everybody do that?
No.
Oh. Well, that explains why we almost got kicked out of here. But we are super excited to be here. And just kind of, we want everybody who knows about you and has read about you and here in Cleveland to get to hear you and hear more about other things, right? Things that interest you, things that like are funny to you, things that like didn't come up in interviews, and we can go off on tangents or whatever. But I read a lot of stuff about you guys. I didn't realize, how much had been written about the two of you and Saucisson and the evolution of it.
We've been really fortunate. I mean, it seems like since we broke ground, we just celebrated 5 years a little bit after December of this year. We celebrated 5 years. So we've been super fortunate to like get so much press and really positive press too, where people are apparently we're interesting. Be it that you guys are standing here with us right now. People want to hear what we have to say, which is pretty cool.
So as we're kind of doing this, I'm looking at the picture from one of the articles. That's actually the article that was originally sent to me. Patrick sent it to me and said, hey, I just sent these two women a message, and this is probably the one we're going to post when we're actually teasing this out, because I love the photo. The photo reminds me, it reminds me of like a Penny Dreadful kind of like vibe, which I loved. So that's kind of what brought me into it. Then reading the article and all the different things that go into it is a big reason why we've been excited about this for 2-3 weeks. I think is when we originally emailed. And you guys got back to us pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And you said something to us when we were. Because I don't know, sometimes you see the amount of followers or how much exposure someone's had. You're not sure if they're going to be like, nah, we're good, tiny podcast.
No way.
You guys were not like that at all. You're like, no. I mean,
No,
you go.
like I said to you when you walked in, like we've been fortunate, but we also don't say no to people that want to talk to us about what we're doing and why we're doing it, and maybe find out some weird facts about our personal lives or us personally or whatever, or silly things, or, it's like, the more that we say yes, I feel like the more that we've gotten good press. Like it's just continued to follow, and I guess we are kind of interesting. I don't know. I'm like, whatever. We've known each other for a long time, and like we feel like we're just kind of like average broads, like whatever,
And you know what? I think we'll get into more of it, but it's funny that you're like, maybe we're just average people, but like. Not many average people get to do what they want to do and love to do and get to be successful at it.
With their friends.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Totally, absolutely.
100%. I mean, I think you hope that, right? When you're a kid, you're like, I'm gonna have the best job ever, and it's gonna be so cool, and I'm gonna make lots of money, and then reality sets in, and you don't have the best job ever, and sometimes you just have to make a leap. And fortunate enough, there were enough people who supported us and kept us like pushing us. So we've got a great support system like outside of here, but then also the community of which we built that were like, no, you can do this. And even on the days where we're like, F this, we're flipping tables, we can't do this, they're like, get your ass back in there and make some sausage. And you're like, oh, okay, we got this.
Oh yeah, that's what we do.
So what was kind of, I know we'll probably talk, and I want to get into a little bit in terms of like how you two actually met, how long you've known each other. So actually, let's start there. Then I want to kind of get into what was the turning point
Such a
for
good
you.
story.
Oh, such a crazy. All right, so I'm from Cleveland, born and raised. When I graduated high school, Cleveland's food scene was pretty low key, like wasn't really going a whole lot of places. I mean, Karen Smalls was in and Parker, and like there was things going on, but like it wasn't a thing, right? So I fled. I went anywhere south, basically anywhere it didn't snow. I was like, bye. And spent time in Virginia and Atlanta and then Orlando, and that's actually where her and I met. And then moved back to Cleveland back in 2009. And it was cool because I was so enthralled with what I was doing in my career and in the cities that I lived in. I didn't really keep up with Cleveland. Like at that point, my mom was like, no, I'm coming to you to visit. It's warm down there. So I really rarely came home. And it was cool because Cleveland had been doing a lot of really cool stuff while I was gone. And so I got to rediscover a city that I knew as a teenager, now as an adult, so that meant I could go places and have good cocktails and do all these cool things. But also just to see the growth that was happening, and it was rad. And that was cool to be like, I'm home, and this is now my city again.
That's actually an incredibly interesting perspective. And one of the things that I found when I was researching the two of you, I couldn't find anything that specifically said you had hailed from Cleveland. Like, I remember I came across an article where it mentioned you used to, and I just put it together, right? It said you used to go with your family to Medina and, do your, shopping or whatever. I couldn't remember exactly what it was. But it's interesting to have been able to leave and come back and see the change in this city.
Yeah, huge. I mean, I was living in major metropolitan cities. I mean, Atlanta is like one of the best cities. I think we could learn a lot. Their public transportation is amazing compared to Cleveland, but like, just to see where we were coming from, to not even realize that, we are always going to be a steak and potato town. We're always going to be, blue collar workers.
Rust.
Yeah, and I love that about this town, and I love like that it's gritty and people are like, no, damn it, like we're going to do what we do, and it's great. But we kind of just refined it a little bit. It got a little polished.
I think it's the best way to put it too, because I mean, I went to college up here, moved back home, came back up here a couple years ago. It's very different than when I was in college versus that. And you just touch on a couple things. You refined it. It's not different.
No.
It's not different really at all. I think it just actually, it's got its cool little pockets, different little parts and cities. Like, I mean, if you look at like where you are right now in Slavic Village, the different little outskirt areas outside of downtown, like the Lakewoods, Ohio Cities, Battery Parks, and Tremonts. It's really kind of beefed those little areas up, and of course little parts of downtown too, but it still isn't like a huge metropolitan like New York, elbow to elbow, which I like.
Which I love.
It's super rad though, because there's so many amenities like a big city.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not from here. I'm a reverse migrator. I came
California
from San
girl?
Diego. Yeah. So we met in Florida. She and I both left Orlando around the same time. We like gave notice within a few weeks of each other at the restaurant that we were at. And there's a really funny story about how we met at that restaurant. I'm just going to tell it to you now.
Yeah, please do.
So she
I
went
assumed
to...
you were going to.
I'm just going to hold on to that one until later.
I got a
I'm just
great story,
So-
but I'm not
but
going to
I'm
tell
not telling
it.
you.
I'm not going to tell you because whatever. So I was trailing. I went down to Orlando to trail. It was a JW Marriott property. The restaurant was primo.
What
by
is
Melissa
trailing?
Khoury.
I'm sorry.
Like stage, where you go work for free. So
Okay.
they see you work, you see how they work, and then you kind of make an assessment of each other. So it's like you might get the job offer and be like, that chef was a lunatic and her staff's insane. Like, there's no way. Instead, I was like, oh my God, I want to work for this woman, like knowing. Okay, so I graduated the
Is that
end
Kathleen
of.
Blake, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
I graduated the last class in December from New York in Hyde Park at the Culinary Institute. So this is a few months before. It's like October, and I'm in freaking Hyde Park, New York, freezing my ass off. And I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to go down to Orlando for the weekend. Sweet. But more so because I wanted to work for Melissa Khoury, whose original restaurant's in Rockland, Maine. Well, she closes her season like right after New Year's. Like, they slow down and then they close for a few months and then they reopen. Then I did research when I found out that she had like an offshoot and that Kathleen Blake was her frickin' chef de cuisine. I like lost my fucking mind. This woman had worked for Nora Poulin in DC for like 8 or 9 years. Nora opened the first certified organic restaurant in the United States. And she is off her rocker, straight crazy. But Kathleen, like, I'd read so much about her and like knew that she traveled and like she left Iowa when she was a kid and like went to San Francisco when she was like 17 and went to like the community college for culinary arts there, and she worked for like all these fucking badass women, and I was like, oh my God, these two broads are like running a place together. This is fucking crazy. So I show up, and this is like the world's worst thing when you're a line cook. When the chef comes up to you and you're like getting your shit together and figuring out that the entire menu's changed that night and you have to re-prep everything and you want to fucking kill yourself, that you also have someone there to stage with you. You're like, oh, cool. So some total jackass that's never been in this restaurant before is going to stand next to me and probably mouth breathe and not be able to do anything but be in my fucking way. So she's granted.
I don't know why mouth breathing is the best thing about this.
Because you're a mouth breather. You just know it. Continue.
So poor Melissa is granted me, and that's what she's thinking for sure. I mean, that's what everyone thinks. You're like, oh God. You're like, it's some, like wannabe Bobby Flay or something that like thinks they're gonna go to culinary school, trail at a couple restaurants, and like end up on the Food Network, but they're like a bumbling fool and they're gonna cut two of their fingers off. So let me just reinforce the fact that this is a restaurant inside of a hotel. So we're on the mezzanine level, and right above us is hotel rooms.
Okay.
So it's like, super busy night. There's like 5 billion people in the PDR, plus the place is booked to all
PDR.
have private dining room.
Okay.
And it's an open kitchen.
Okay.
Yes.
And it's an open kitchen.
Totally open
so
line. We wear these ridiculous headsets.
We're all in boy
Everyone's
bands.
dressed in
Callback.
white.
Well, we were wearing white chef coats, like beige pants, but in these stupid skull caps. Anyways, we're like getting through dinner service, and like she's having me do a little bit of stuff, and I'm like helping her plate. But basically, I'm just trying to stay the fuck out of her way because I've done this before, and I know either the person you're doing it with is going to give you something to do, and hope to God that you are not so special that you can actually execute what they're asking for, or they're just going to be like, okay, cool, you can watch this part now. Like, don't touch the tongs. Like, I got this. Like, this is my fucking grill. All of a sudden, water starts dripping from above us. And P.S., it's an open kitchen, right? So the diners are right out in front of us. Like, we could reach out and almost touch them. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I'm just looking at this water. And she's like in the middle of a huge fire. Like, there is tickets, they're firing all this food, like and they're ready to plate. It's fucking crazy. I'd seen these like lids that she took off her station that like went over the top of it. So I like sneak past the guy on hot apps and grab these lids and like set them kind of cocked so she could still get to some of her mise en place. And I like look around for something, and there's an 8-quart container, a Cambro, and I'm holding it up over my head. P.S. I'm facing the dining room, catching this water.
Standing
People
on
are
top of the
watching you.
cooler.
Standing on top of the cooler that has
Okay.
all of her mise en place.
And I'm plating in between her legs.
So she finishes plating like that fire, and then I turned around. So like, you all can just look at my ass while I hold this bucket, because this is really awkward as hell. Like, I don't know where to look. Should I just close my eyes? Like, am I dreaming? Like, what's happening? So get through dinner service. Security tells the chef that someone fell asleep in a bathrobe in their fucking hotel room with the goddamn bathtub running.
They were drunk.
Probably.
Yeah, probably. No
Probably.
doubt. It's Orlando. Everyone's drunk.
Yeah.
So
We have a lot of theories about Florida, by the way.
Oh, we lived there for some time, so
All
we can give
positive.
you all the theories.
None.
All
None
positive.
positive.
None.
positive.
There's not very much to be positive about.
Oh,
There's
shit.
some slivers.
How did you move there?
Yeah.
No one does that. I mean, prior to 70, no one does
Prior to
that.
It was really just on the whim. Like, I was getting done with culinary school in Virginia, and I didn't have a whole lot of like plans. And Marriott was, so I went to Johnson & Wales in Norfolk, Virginia.
For
and
that, we should cut each other.
like
Okay.
rival culinary schools.
Do you
And
have football teams?
Do you have mascots?
What are your
No, it's
mascots?
culinary
we
school.
actually had a mascot. We had a mascot at JWU.
What
We
was your
didn't,
mascot?
because we were
A
so elite,
bobcat.
we didn't have
Bobcat?
a fucking
A bobcat.
What do you got? What are you, like the armadillos or
No,
something?
we didn't have a mascot because we were so fucking
It's a butcher
elitist
knife.
We
fucks
wouldn't
that
have
we
known
didn't
that she
have
could have
one.
made up an mascot. They're the Bobcats.
Whatever, dude.
I don't understand why you would have a mascot.
Yeah,
If you
Let's
don't
ask
have,
her.
As a culinary school, I don't know. I had no idea behind it. I mean, they were a
Bobcat. It's pretty
they were
sweet.
a full-fledged university, so like they did
Oh,
offer at some
gotcha,
of their
gotcha.
like some of their other campuses, you could be involved in sports and stuff like that. But the campus that I went to was really, really small.
Whatever. Prior to that, I was a lumberjack. I got a bachelor's degree from Northern Arizona University in Flagstaff, and they were the fucking lumberjack. Louie was our mascot.
I want to hear. Oh, I thought you meant you were a lumberjack by trade.
That would have been way cooler.
Well,
got a
there's a
master's
book
in
out that
lumberjack.
says-
Yeah, that's what I was
I thought
like.
you were going to say I majored in lumberjack.
You
I
go to-
really thought
No,
you were
I
doing
majored in international hospitality management. It's not quite as
Same as
exciting
lumberjack.
as
It's close.
lumberjack.
Close.
Cleveland, it makes
She's
perfect
a lady
sense.
jack. Whatever.
Close enough. And so I had no plans really after culinary school. I was like, oh, I'll maybe move back home. Maybe I just didn't know. And like a couple weeks before we actually graduated, Marriott was on campus and they were doing like a career fair, and they had this really beautiful rendering. It wasn't even fully built yet of this we called it the
Pink
Pink Palace, this massive hotel. And I thought, well, what the hell? Like, they're offering me good money. It's a place I've never been. I've never lived. And if it sucks, I'll leave, you know, like whatever. But this was a great opportunity. I mean, the hotel itself was, it was 1,500 rooms between the two hotels. So it's a Ritz-Carlton and a Marriott on one property, plus banquets, plus poolside bar and all this stuff. So it had like a lot of appeal in the sense of like continuing your education as a culinary, you know, professional. And also it doesn't snow. So there was that, you know.
So I feel, and we said at the beginning, we go off on tangents. So I know I derailed the story about how you met. I want to circle back to that.
Much it.
Oh,
Pretty much it, yeah.
Well, so then Kathleen was like, pulls her in the office, and she's like, "Fuck, we can't offer this girl a job." I don't think she said "fuck" at the time.
She didn't
they were
curse.
like, we're not
Well,
bringing
no,
you
she was
on.
like, "Oh my god, this girl's not going to take a job here. Like, we fucking water is leaking out of the
okay.
goddamn ceiling. Like,
You're like,
this fucking is
fuck
shit
this
show."
place.
Yeah, right.
She was saying we're not going to offer them because look at what she just had to go through.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
she was like, if we offer her a job, she's just going to say no. But I had another night to trail, and so Kathleen left to go to like Palm Springs or something. I don't know. She had to go do some event. So then I come down the next night. But before that, everybody was like, "Hey, let's go have a beer," and they like asked me out, and I was like, well, "Okay, cool." So they would go to this place called Kahuna's that became like the spot when I moved down there. It's like 5 seconds away from the hotel, and everybody that worked at the fucking hotel was there drinking, and so you got to see a lot of very interesting human interactions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I went and had a beer with them, and then Melissa brought me back to the hotel because that's where I was staying. And then she was like, "Hey, we don't have to report to the kitchen until like 2. Do you want to like go get coffee or something tomorrow?" And I was like, "Sweet." So she picked me up, and we sat at a Starbucks when you could still smoke in front of Starbucks, and literally smoked like 100 packs of cigarettes and drank like 40 cups of coffee. And it was like, oh, we're gonna be friends because we can smoke all the cigarettes and drink all the coffee. And then I literally went in and like worked for like a half an hour. The sous chef was like, "Oh, why don't you go upstairs and change and we'll feed you dinner." And then the GM, Crazy Stewart, like literally sent me everything on the menu. I was by myself. So it was like rustic Italian, shit tons of pasta, pizzas, huge, beautiful fish dishes, like crazy giant pieces of meat, like all this shit. It was insane.
It was crazy.
Then I went back to New York, and then Kathleen offered me a job, and then a few months later, we were reunited in Orlando.
I already have so many questions, but and one of the things that I kind of want to circle back a little bit, so hopefully this isn't too far back, but Melissa, Queen of Pork, Penny, local Meat Maven. I know
We sound like superheroes. I don't
Well,
have a cape. We should get capes.
I want a cape.
we're
Fuck
gonna
yes,
get a
we're
picture of
gonna
you
get
guys in front of that before we leave, by the way.
So we have a
That's
funny,
cool.
like, my rendition of that picture now, actually, is that, you know, when, like, sitting presidents go in, they take, like, a before and after photo, and you see how much they've aged. So when folks come in and they see that photo, we had only been in business about maybe 6 months or so. So my joke is always like, yeah, you think you want to start a small business? That's what you look like before, and this is what you look like 5 years in.
That's the day you sign the papers.
Yep,
and
yep.
stuff and
Because now
Everything's-
there's, you know, but we had a lot of professional help for that. My sister actually does hair and makeup for, like, professional, and she came up and
That's an awesome photo.
dolled us up.
It is
And
really cool.
We borrowed
And-
the dresses.
I will tell you. So it's funny. The reason we were even introduced to who the two of you are is there's a guy we work with who's like, hey, you should interview these two. He had come here with a girl he was dating, completely butchered the name of your restaurant, and she was a French major, so she's like, no, this is how you say it. So that's how.
I wonder who
so,
it is.
I don't even know, but so he was like, oh, it's, you know, this is where it was, and I was like, that's pretty freaking awesome, and then I was so in love with that picture because it, like Joe said, it has this like, wait, you're standing in front of or behind or next to a pig's head, and you're wearing ball gowns.
yes,
And holding cleavers.
and holding cleavers.
That's the thing that I love the most about it.
And holding cleavers.
My most favorite thing that someone has recently said, they said it to Melissa, and she told me, and she was like, somebody said like, oh, did they enhance your muscles? Like, are you fucking kidding me, bro? The shit is not airbrushed. We have Jack Diesel, dude.
Well,
Even though I take all my clothes off and I look like the doughboy, but whatever. But no, it's not enhanced. Those are our real arms that stuff sausage and throw hog parts around
Who
and
said
lambs
this? What's
and
his full
whatnot.
name?
Yeah,
whatever.
We didn't bother to
Some
learn
guy.
it.
We'll find him online. It's fine.
I'm sure.
I'm sure he's got an Instagram
Probably.
labeled idiot.
guy who talks to girls about their muscles.
So you were talking about when we got here, how you were throwing around like 70 pounds of like meat.
Yeah.
Like,
That's pretty much
that was a perfect like
Yeah.
lead into that. So
True. It's true.
a lot of fucking hard work.
A lot of hard work.
why
Like
you
we
look
bring
the way you
in,
look.
so we bring in whole animals, and you know, we definitely try to build relationships with our farmers. So for us, it's important if we haven't been to your farm, then we don't buy from you.
I guess how do you set that up? I mean, obviously we're in the middle of Cleveland. We don't know anything about this, but farms. So how far out do you have to go? How do you build these relations? I imagine it's the same thing as like any business would do with like a partner, vendor, kind of whatever. Like how do you decide the ones you want? You already said that if we haven't been there, we're not going to buy from you. So how are you?
Some
how
of
are you
it is
camping these
just
up?
some of it's just like you got to be a good person, right? Like we have to see you every week, and we're cutting you a check every week. Like we want to do business with people that are good, like people that have good hearts, people that are like I don't want to say in it to win it, but in it to win it at life, right? Like they're doing good, they're trying to
Right.
do good by like
Integrity and honesty.
yeah, like that's huge for us. You know, being that we came from restaurants, it's a little bit more that path traveled to get to those farmers is a little bit more like open. You know how to get there. But you don't have to go far. I mean, our main supplier is in Chardon. So 45 minutes you can be at his farm. He has a farm store. Like, you don't have to just buy from us. You can go and buy from them. And we urge customers that, like, come here. They're like, oh, we live out, you know, near Burton. I'm like, you know, please come and see us because we make different products. But if you just want pork chops, go to New Creations. They're right in Chardon, right off of Clark and 44. Like, it's super easy to get to. And I think in the last 5-6 years, like with farmers markets booming, things like that, the farmers and stuff are a little bit more accessible. But it's also about the quality of like the meat itself. Like we taste it, and you know what heritage breed, you know what breeds are they raising? How are they feeding them? What are they feeding? What's their
What do they
access
live
to
on?
pasture? Like,
Yeah.
you know, are they happy? You know, can you walk into the field of pigs and they all come running up to you because they think you've got food, and like they are like, you're gonna scratch behind my ears and I'm cool with that? Or are they running away from you because they think you're gonna beat them? Or, you know,
Chase them with a pellet gun.
I have so many questions. No, do you have a question?
No, go.
No, you were leaning in to kiss me. Awkward silence.
Dude, blog people, I just want you to know, like, we met Joe's wife because she's here right now taking cool photos of us, and I sure as shit do not think that Joe's gonna kiss Patrick.
No.
And
I
also,
thought you
just
were
so
gonna say,
everyone
I
is
sure
aware,
shit don't believe that's Joe's wife.
like,
And you
she's
know what?
super pretty,
it's
and
okay.
she seems very nice. I haven't had much
honestly,
of a chance to
it's-
talk to her, but she
it's-
drinks bourbon, so she's cool in my book.
It's okay. This is not the first time that someone has mistook us for, you know, like woman and, you know, poor man and caretaker. Like, I mean, I will say, this is a true story, and I know we go off on tangents, but just kind of highlight the way that our relationship
She's also giving
has
him the eyes right now. She's like, what the fuck is he saying?
I know, she's super turned on. So, but I remember her and I have been out before, and this really has happened. I would get up to go to the restroom, and some guy would go hit on her, and she'd be like, "I'm sorry, I'm actually with my," I think at the time it was fiance, but she's like, "I'm with my fiance," and the guy was like, "Oh, oh, I did not put that together, miss. I'm sorry." He thought that like it was like a, I don't know, like a
charity.
like a last wish thing or something. I don't know.
Make a
But
wish.
she's like, "There's no way they're
make a
together.
wish, kid."
There's no way they're together." And then I came back and he looked at me. He's like, "Well, good luck to you."
Yeah.
And but anyway, that's
did you get a
fine.
little attaboy, a little high five from him?
I didn't know what had happened.
No.
I didn't know he had just hit on her. I thought he was just like, I don't know. I thought he was the waiter.
Good luck eating that shit. I mean,
Yeah.
like, you know.
Anyway, nice. We stay in touch.
You and the guy. That's fun. It's funny to me, and super admirable, by the way, that you go and you take note of how these animals are being treated. At the end of the day, what incentive do farmers have to treat their livestock assets well, as opposed to
It's a life. And they, like, a good farmer sees that it's a life that they're raising, and that
Yeah.
they're giving it good attention and good feed and good light and exposure to nature the way that they were intended to grow. And so a good farmer, someone who has a heart about it and a passion for it, is also someone who probably has, like, we joke that one of Scott and Kristen's daughter, Bella, is like a chicken whisperer. Like, we went out there and helped them. Kristen had a hip surgery, and all the chickens were going to be let out of the barn, and they needed to have one of their wings clipped so they couldn't fly away. So City over here go out there, and we're like watching YouTube videos on how to clip a chicken's wings, but their daughter is like 20 at the time, is like scooping up 6 hens at a time and like lovingly flipping them upside down so that they basically play dead, and we can clip their wings, and then she sets them free again, like sweetly. I feel like people that are good farmers that care about their animals, like we can definitely hear bullshit in someone's voice, but you see it. You see how they're raised, the land that they're on, and how they're taken care of. And then you talk to them, like, where does the feed come from? Is it all grown here? Is it grown in Ohio? Is it non-GMO? Is it, whatever. But you get to know these people, and, like, they love doing what they do, and you can taste the difference, trust me.
You can taste the difference. And I think now, I mean, if you look at how our food system grew so fast, and now people are coming out and saying, oh, well, you shouldn't eat this because it's packed full of cancer, and this has this, and this has this. This is nothing new. Like, farmers have known this for like decades, for years. And so these farmers that have learned this craft from, maybe their parents or from somebody else, this is nothing new. This is just, farm to table isn't new. Farm to table is how these people live. This is how we were raised, like it's not us jumping on a bandwagon. This is something that has existed and should exist for multitude of reasons. I mean, commercial farming, commercial anything sometimes can be the deficit to so many things. And we see the decline of the quality of product with, diseases that are coming into like different farms. And how many recalls do you see for meat every day now?
Yeah.
It's never from a small farm. It's always large conglomerates.
Purdue or
Right.
I guess I probably shouldn't throw them under the bus, but I mean, that was the last one I remember.
Right.
Purdue,
I mean,
Cargill,
oh my God.
IVP, like you want to name
Ground
names,
beef.
like,
Yeah.
we'll keep going,
Ooh, ground beef is like every month there's another massive I mean, you're talking of hundreds of thousands of pounds. Do you know how many cows that is?
Right.
Like, that's a lot of cows.
a lot of lives.
That's a lot of
To
lives
get all
that
weird
were.
and sound like a vegan, but
No,
it's
no,
a
no.
life. It's a real thing that is.
It's something that's
should be
I
taken
think
care
people
of.
that, and us included, don't know kind of what goes into that.
Yeah.
So us, when we're like you're dealing with farmers, we don't know what kind of relationship you build. You think it's primarily financial. Does it work for both sides? But
Yeah.
I think that the difference is what you kind of just mentioned. It's the quality, obviously, ultimately the taste, and what kind of people you're actually dealing with. Because those larger kind of conglomerates, the larger corporations that keep running into these problems are just like, well, it's all about how much quantity we have. The quality is obviously not the biggest factor, and you guys are obviously the exact opposite. I mean, is that something that would even interest? Would you even be able to do that, to do what you do on a larger scale?
Like, it couldn't get bigger than us continuing to find farms that could provide us with meat that we could then continue to make in mass. Like, we've talked about this before. It's not necessarily something that we struggle with, but like, beef jerky that we have some out today. Like,
Amazing. It's
Delicious.
really, really good.
it's hand-cut beef. It's marinated for 24 hours in a brine, and then it's sprinkled with the seasoning and dehydrated. Like, it's real freaking meat. It's not the shit that you get at a gas station that gets ripped apart and smashed back together and pressed in some weird meat-shaped mold.
I'll never buy that ever again now.
No, you've been
can't.
ruined.
You've been
You've been
totally
ruined.
It's been, yeah.
Oh
But
man.
It's been ruined.
like, if we could sell this in mass, we'd have to find multiple beef farmers and figure out how to mass produce it, which is not out of the question. But like, a big thing for us is talking about, like, every day we talk about it, like when we leave here or when we're on our way here or when we're taking a 5-minute break or whatever. It's like, can you look at yourself in the mirror every day, all day, and know that you are doing what you say you're doing and like living like the truth of that? Like, we're not, these idiots from this podcast came out and we told them it was all farm to table, but it's
We are
bullshit. Like,
idiots.
we're
It's a
not.
different podcast, not
Yeah.
this one.
Not this one.
You know,
No,
like, that's
totally
not-
different
It's a
one.
very
One that
stupid
never got-
podcast.
yeah.
I don't know who they
No,
are. They're
but
dumb.
like, that's a big deal to us. Like, our own ethics and integrity are super important. So like, yeah, of course, we're business owners. We need to make money. We need to pay our vendors. We need to pay our employees. We need to pay the bills. We need to keep the lights on, all that good stuff. But like, at the end of the day, part of it too for us is like, we're doing something very specific that, like, for both of us is like part of our heart and also part of a skill set that we have. But then we're being super honest. Like, yeah, dude, the eggs in the cooler over there come from Greg at Crooked Creek and Marty, and like
That's
they're really
fucking
cool
awesome.
people, and like he shows up every Saturday with his crazy straw hat that's got like 500 feathers in it. It's like every time he sees a pretty lady, he puts another feather in his hat.
And he's also a Civil War reenactor. I mean, like these are real people.
These are fucking great people.
And they were in the
And he's
Patriot.
like a fucking
That's-
character. Yeah,
yeah.
he was in the Patriot. Like he. Yeah,
He was.
whoa,
He
whoa.
was.
Hung out
They
with
were
Mel
extras
Gibson.
in the Patriot, which
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
you
We're
only
talking about
know.
Heath Ledger. No, not Heath Ledger.
No,
he's gone.
No.
Sorry, that's the only
He's
guy. I
gone.
know.
He's such a babe, though.
Total,
Was a babe.
Total
Was
babe.
R.I.P.
So, and I wanted to clarify, I didn't mean what you do on a mass scale as a slight. I actually think, I love what you're doing way, way better.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's actually doable to do it on the scale of some of those big ones. I think it's impossible.
Nor do we
It's like-
want to.
At
It's
I
some
would-
point
that's
it
the other
gets-
thing. I don't
at some
think you
point
would
it gets
want to.
lost.
No.
Like you
Yeah.
can't continue. You know what I mean? Like you maybe start out a business with some intention, and then things change. You know, like we've watched other companies, like bigger companies that are started in other parts of the country that maybe do something similar, and they start out with a butcher shop and they make a product, and then someone comes after them for that product, and the product gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But like, you know, how many hogs are you getting to make those chicharron or pork rinds or whatever? How many freaking cattle are you getting? And are they really local anymore? You know what I mean? Like if we started selling beef jerky in Chicago, it's not local anymore. You know, like let me just air quote it some more for people
Yeah.
that can't see me and flick
So,
some stuff.
I guess
Joe does
it's.
Let me break one of
visual
these
jokes all the time.
microphones real quick.
I guess
Okay,
it's.
I
some,
do drawings, and I usually draw the podcast when we're done. I'll draw that.
Nice.
Sketch it.
I think at some point, you know,
Like a
as a business, you grow, and some folks are okay with sell out, if you want to use that word, right? You get to sell out on what you believe in, because the promise of more money is coming at you, but money doesn't fix everything. Right? And so maybe it's because we've come up in the food industry and we've never made a whole lot of money that we're not like, yeah, we just want to live our life. So we want to be able to maybe save a little bit of money, go on a vacation here and there, you know, not have to worry about putting groceries in the house, you know, like we're not trying to buy Bentleys and like, you know, Rolls Royces.
Whatever.
I mean, that's going to be the company car, you know what I mean? But
I'll say we've been here for
Really
about.
shaped like a pig.
It's pink.
the Ford Pinto will be our daily driver though.
When I was a kid, we had a Ford Pinto.
Oh my God, they were the greatest car ever.
And it was a blue Ford Pinto, and I'll never remember it. I'll never forget it. In the back, where the transmission was a hump. Like that's the way the car was fucking designed because
Yeah.
they were shitty. And my sister and I,
Language.
they were shitty. My sister and I used to argue who could sit on the hump, right? Didn't know our parents were driving us around in a goddamn death trap.
Right. That could like
Listen-
blow up at any moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was fine.
It's
But
funny.
you're still here to tell the stories, so it's fine.
That's true. I survived. I did want to say that, like, we've been here just a little over an hour, and the one thing that's been consistent that the two of you have said, and you've said it multiple times during this recording, is integrity. Do what you say you do. It's obvious that that's super important. It may even be in your fucking mission statement, for all I know.
Do we have one of those?
We do, but I don't remember what it
Okay.
says.
Well, whatever, right?
That
But,
should be.
Where are the human mission statements?
but that's like
Something like that.
and by the way, I do believe, and I'll take your word for it, that it does matter in the quality of the food that you're eating when the animal is treated better. I actually do believe that. Like you're not getting chicken or whatever with tumors all through it because they're treated better, and we know that shit happens,
Yeah,
right?
totally
You get
happens.
something, you take it home, and you're like, what the fuck is that? I'm not eating that shit.
I mean, just even the flavor. I mean, if you take away all the cancer and all these other gross things that you're gonna find, it's just the flavor. Like
Yeah,
we
people
had
lose their mind
Yeah.
when they come get the chicken that we get from Colin, who's down in Medina. Like we get all of our birds from Colin. We get chickens, ducks, and turkeys, and an occasional goose.
Turducken?
No.
Can we talk about turducken?
No.
It's not a naturally occurring animal.
I know. But
We can talk about turducken later, but first we need to talk about
Okay.
Colin's chicken.
At Premium Pasture.
Yeah, premium pastures, my bad. So people lose their mind. This chicken was so amazing. Yeah, it tastes like chicken, like
Just
real
chicken.
chicken.
I can give you a real time example. They put out this beef jerky for this podcast. It's fucking incredible. It's the best. It's real. I can never eat another piece of beef jerky again.
the rest of it's shit.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I had a piece of beef jerky today. Before this, it's clearly not jerky. I ate a belt. This is this is so good. It's like it's the flavor. It's got spice. It's Yeah, you have to come in just to try the jerky, but I recommend probably trying everything else. Including
Gateway
Colin's
meats,
chicken.
the gateway meats.
Yeah, we call it the gateway meat.
Those are amazing.
So
That's
it's like
amazing.
it's like the marijuana of meat.
But honestly, like, that's another thing. We don't have to try as hard to do these things, right? When you start with a good, wholesome product that has amazing flavor already, that has the perfect fat quality. You know, we got into the other white meat campaign for our pork. Pork is not white. It's not supposed to be like pure white, you know? It's not supposed to be so lean that there's no fat on it. But
P.S. It shouldn't be fucking beige either.
no.
You're blowing my mind right now.
Right.
My mind.
Holy shit! I actually think I know something. Okay, so
I think I know something.
Yeah, let's show 'em
no,
a picture.
this doesn't happen a lot. That's why I got excited. So when we were no, check your tweets.
No,
No.
Yeah.
She's trying to show you a fucking pork chop, Joe. A fucking pork
I
chop.
thought you were like, Jesus, how long have we been here?
No, I wanted to show
If you
you
need
what
to
a
check
real
your
pork
social
chop
media,
looks
please
like.
do.
No, that's fine. When we were in when I was in the Dominican Republic, I remember being we were eating breakfast and they put out the sausage. I'm like, that's not sausage. That's not the right color because it was
Fucking pink.
yeah
Purple. No,
yeah.
I'm just kidding. Like
no,
reddish.
it was like
Reddish.
Yeah, because
and
Hello.
red.
Yes, and I was like, oh no, it's supposed to be like brown. And my stupid small mind didn't put together what I was about to eat. And then I tasted it and I was like, holy shit, that's really, really good.
Yeah.
And then my wife, or / caretaker, she was like, yeah, that's probably because it was just like, you know, they probably just, it's not been through 75 different types of chemicals and transported across 5, different states.
Yeah.
It's probably on a farm a mile away from here. That's what real sausage actually tastes like.
Yeah.
And I had more of it. I was like, you're right. I think that's exactly what it is.
Like
the
when-
color is what threw me off. It's funny you brought that up.
When the polite way to say this, the animals.
polite now?
It's like
it's
the
not.
one time that we try to be polite. The animals are walking around come Sunday. They are then not walking
Right.
after Sunday and delivered to our shop on Wednesday
Right.
and in our case on Thursday. There is nothing that you could buy at the grocery store that has not already been not walking for several weeks, put in a
Right.
freezer. You know, if you've ever gone to Giant Eagle at certain times a day, the fresh sausage case, this shit's defrosted. They just pulled it out of the freezer. Like, it's still frozen, but they're doing it in off time, hoping that nobody notices that it's
Yeah,
frozen
super
meat.
fresh.
No, I was blocking you from the mic.
Block.
My I actually meant to start the podcast off this way. It's with like a joke.
Oh, well, let's restart.
Restart.
We can. We're only 40 minutes into this.
It's fine. Just throw it all away. It's
My
garbage.
neighbor is he's 80. He was in the Navy. He was a butcher by trade.
Does he have a sick Navy tat?
He does not.
He wasn't in the Navy.
No, he was in the Navy.
I believe
It's probably
it.
on his
Go
butt.
Anyhow,
Somewhere
he was
you
a
can see
butcher by
his
trade.
chest piece.
Yeah, he's got a giant anchor on his chest. He asked me to rub it down with lotion. It's weird. I don't understand. But, so he was a butcher by trade, and I told him we were doing this interview. He goes, "You know what you need to ask them?" So here I'm going to ask you.
Bring
This
it.
is his joke. All right, ready? This is the joke. What is the only part of the pig that you don't use?
There is no part.
The squeal. That was his point. Wait, no, that wasn't good.
Yeah, it was great.
No?
Next time you see him, high five him for me.
All
No,
right.
but like that's part of our shtick is that we use all of it.
But that was his point. Like,
Yeah.
he actually, his point was a good butcher will use every part of that animal outside of the squeal.
If I had thought about that for like 4 more seconds and had like 2 sips less bourbon, I would have been like, "The squeal," but I'm an asshole.
Here's another fun fact for you,
Okay.
is that pigs are the only animals that we raise just for meat consumption only. So cows, there are different breeds, right?
Okay.
But cows, we get milk
Yeah.
and meat from.
Oh, I see what you're
Leather.
Chickens,
Yeah.
we get leather, we get all these things. So my one goal in life is to potentially milk a pig. Has somebody tried? Why have we not milked a pig yet?
I'll tell you why right now.
Why?
I'll tell you why. Milk is the second grossest substance on the face of the earth.
Not
Yes,
at all.
you're
No.
my homie.
Yeah,
No.
right?
Whatever,
BFFs
like,
forever.
we'll talk when you have osteoporosis and we're like in our
Almond
70s.
milk, my man. Almond milk.
Oh, it's
What the
just,
fuck is first?
milk is sauerkraut.
What?
Which I'm sure they hate hearing that. Pork and sauerkraut, right? I mean, but anyhow, milk is gross.
You need to try Cleveland kraut.
I'm a whole
No, I won't. I won't. If I
It's
walk
raw,
in
unpasteurized. You don't eat it hot.
Look, If I walk into somebody's house,
crunchy and amazing.
no, stop. You're gonna
If
make
you
me
like
gag.
pickles, shut the hell up.
I don't like pickles.
Oh, fucking
Well,
Christ.
fucking A. Get this guy out of here.
Here's the thing.
This is over. We're done. Over.
Here's the thing. Like, if I walk into somebody's house and they've been making sauerkraut, I will instantly gag and have to leave. That's not a joke.
Well, now we know how to get Patrick out of our house.
Yeah.
Start making sauerkraut.
Okay. The milk thing. The reason nobody would drink pig milk is because it'll say pig milk on it. Think about that. Like, it's not.
Dude, don't start the labeling law conversation.
That's a whole
We'll
nother thing.
fucking rabbit hole the
No,
shit
let's
out of
talk about that.
But cow milk doesn't say cow milk.
It just
on
says milk.
Yeah, but everybody already assumes it's cow milk. But like
What?
goat
But
milk.
why?
But why do you assume?
Why
Didn't
don't
anybody?
Why isn't it goat milk?
That's a great. Are you flat earthers by any chance?
No.
Fuck no.
Thank God.
Oh my lord.
But this is how
We
flat.
believe in farming, not flat earthing.
Okay.
Fuck.
Well, that's great.
Okay, you can farm on a flat surface, ladies.
Yeah, you
Sorry.
can,
You can.
but the earth is
You
not
can.
flat.
I'm just
We've been getting
saying.
into that recently. It's funny.
I'm just saying it's a possibility. There is a gentleman in California who is trying to get
He's gonna
camel
fail.
milk
Oh, come
passed
on, stop it.
because people who are lactose intolerant and all of those other things can handle camel milk. What do you think people in like Arabian countries, they drink camel milk?
Yeah.
They drink sheep's milk.
Okay, so Mike,
Yeah,
I'm on
sheep's
your
milk,
side.
I'm into it.
No.
So what? Oh, I'm not. Okay, never mind.
No, don't.
I am. Fuck. I know we're sharing a mic, but not a brain.
Oh, he's got his own brain.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. So, I'm sure when someone first started, like, milking a fucking cow and handing it to people to drink, they were like, whoa, no. We just haven't tried it with pig.
Right.
It might be fucking
Because
delicious.
no one's gonna drink that shit, dude.
You
We
never
haven't
know.
asked
You're
anyone.
You
basically
haven't
saying that
asked.
everyone's stupid and that they wouldn't try it.
Well, I actually kind of agree with that part.
I mean, there are a lot of sheeple. We know that sheeple exists. That happens.
Sheeple?
Sheeple.
What the fuck is a
people
sheeple?
that just follow whatever.
People just follow.
Oh, like lemmings.
Yes.
Yes.
I never
Be like-
heard sheeple. I actually
Sheeple.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah, they can't, like, they just follow the herd to the next grass pasture. They let a dog run around them and tell them where to go. And
Add more bourbon.
4 more minutes of just sheep noises. Go.
This is all digital. We got plenty of tape.
Just keep redoing it.
Um,
He turned into a sheep while we were there.
but you never know, right? We don't know until you try it. And that's the same thing, right? Like, who decided to grab the first gallon of milk? Oh, well, that baby cow's drinking it. Maybe I should drink it too.
Listen,
Who's
I'll
the
tell you
first
what.
person who took a chicken egg that was unfertilized and was like, I'm going to crack this shit open?
Oh, I totally agree with you. My mind is fucking blown away by the first person that ate a goddamn shrimp or lobster.
Right.
That's a goddamn spider where we
Right.
come from.
Right.
It was a guy, for sure.
Yeah, and
Probably.
you're really fucking hungry. You don't do that shit.
And he
like
probably got the shit dared out of him. I mean, I'm from the West Coast, so like I like to eat all the things that swim and all that shit, bottom feeders and whatnot. Lovely.
You ever gone to the Cleveland Aquarium, which isn't great? Can we all admit?
It's fucking
if you've been there,
terrible.
it's
been.
bad.
It's a
It's
fishbowl.
it's
You
bad.
know what though?
It's a fishbowl.
It's
Get
better
drunk
than
before
what
you
I
go.
thought it
Something
was
to do
going to
when
be.
It's gray and like there's 400 feet of snow on the ground and
winter.
it's sleeting and
And when your
shitty
power's
and
out,
yeah.
I want to
you
kill
don't have any
myself.
So like 9 months out of the year.
All your family moved away. You're jobless. Yeah, definitely go to the Cleveland Aquarium.
So
Totally.
When you literally have no other options
And
in
you
like
think,
$8.
swim away, swim away, swim away.
Right. So you walk. They have this part, and it's under one of the arches because it's an old power
plant,
from
yep.
what I understand. And they have like the lobsters and things up there. You look up and you're like, that's a fucking silverfish or whatever those things are in your house that you stomp on. Somebody was so fucking hungry that they tried that shit.
Yeah.
They're like, you know what I'm gonna do, Bob? I gotta eat that.
Yeah.
No, you can't do that.
Who pulled
right?
out a sea urchin and decided they were going to eat that?
Fuck.
Delicious.
Like,
I've never had sea
But
urchin.
yeah.
but who, so at some point, who the hell is going to corral a pig and milk the fucking thing? Like, that's all I'm saying.
You know what?
You're selling
Episode 2. Let's just find a fucking
We're going
pig
to the
and do
farm
it.
going.
and we're milking a pig.
We're gonna do it
Video.
on spot. So, what is the
We better call Scott
grossest
after this.
animal you can even imagine? Even like I'm gonna butcher this and someone's gonna eat it.
I don't really feel like there's any gross animals that we
Really,
butcher.
like a raccoon, possum.
Well, I mean,
Oh, I got a story about squirrels.
What about
I wanna hear it.
where's request? But maybe it goes with your squirrel.
So we have a girlfriend that is from Florida. Sorry, Lindsay, that they just bagged Florida so hard. Anyways,
Lindsay, listen to this podcast.
she's so
You're a
dope.
lovely person.
She's so dope. She'll probably laugh the whole time.
Sure.
Her stepsister got engaged and then was getting married, and so her mom and her asked me like, "Hey, do you think you would like help us cater the wedding. And I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, this is great. So she's marrying Soft Talking Mark. Hey, y'all, my name's Mark. You want to go airboating? I'll catch a gator. Like, he's fucking rad, right? He's so rad.
Airboating?
Airboating.
Okay.
Like,
That's what they do
straight
down
up,
in the swamp, man.
Giant fan on
the
the back.
rescuers, like Penny, my name, like I'm like the little mouse.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, so he took me airboating and like we've hung out and he caught some baby gators. Hey Penny, you want to see a baby gator? And I'm thinking, holy fuck, if there's baby gators, there's a big old mama gator. We're gonna die.
Yeah.
Anyways, I said yes to smoking a bunch of pork and like cooking beef tenderloins and making crystal potatoes. So if you don't know what that is, you're not from the South. You take sliced potatoes and sliced onion, equal parts of crystal hot sauce and butter, and you bake that shit in the oven.
Okay.
Pretty
Delightful.
delicious.
I put it on a
It's-
smoker to make it like real fancy for
Yeah.
their wedding. So I get out there at like 7 o'clock in the morning the day of to like fire the pork and stuff. And the groom, Soft Talking Mark, and his twin brother, whose name eludes me now,
Luke.
they look
Let's call
exactly
him
the
Luke.
fucking same. They have a big old beard. They're like 5'5" probably. They have big chubby cheeks and a big ass beard, and they take their hat off and they got that big old
Right,
like
tan line.
It's like from above their eyebrows is all white.
These
and
are
the rest
good
of their
old
face.
boys.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
total rednecks, and they appreciate you using that moniker for them. So they're out there with like 7 of their dudes, and they're sitting in the back of a pickup truck, and they have fired up all these smokers for me. Hey, Penny, we got all the smokers going with the peach wood and the apple wood. I'm like, sweet, thanks, guys. I'm gonna go get all this pork and get this thing going. I come back out, and like, they've opened the bed of the truck, and like, there are just Bud Light cans for eons falling out of this thing. They never went to bed, because I mean, that's what you do. You party all night long. You keep drinking into the wee hours of the morning till the sun comes up, and you keep drinking. You consider showering, but before you do that, you shoot some fucking squirrels.
Okay.
And then you
Fill
like,
'em with lead.
then you fire up the frickin', you fire up the Weber grill.
Cook up
And
some
like
squirrel.
all you do is gut them and skin them. So they're like this on the grill, like teeth out, no fur, nothing. Hey Penny, you ever eat squirrel? No guys, I've never had a squirrel. You want a beer and some squirrel? Yeah, sure. It's 7:45 on a Saturday morning in Kissimmee, Florida. Like fuck, or actually Poinciana, excuse me, south of Kissimmee.
Okay.
Oh, very different. Don't fuck
Very,
that up.
very,
Yeah.
Don't
very
fuck
different.
that up, right?
Don't do-
and they're
yeah.
like, hey, Penny, let's have some squirrel. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, let's make sure the shit is cooked well, right? Because it's a fucking squirrel. I'm from Southern California. I ain't never eaten squirrel before. I've eaten, like, all of a pig's intestines, all of an animal's tongue. Like, any Mexican grandma hand me something on a plate, it's meant to be eaten. Oh, you bet your ass I'm going to turn it into a taco and hammer it down. But like, no, I've never eaten a squirrel. It was the grassiest, gristliest, grossest shit I've ever put in my mouth. And so then I've been told by other awesome rednecks that I have met that it's actually delicious if prepared correctly.
So wait.
So it's kind
We
of
just
that
had
thing-
the wrong
It's
preparation
kind
of
of like
it.
that thing where I'm waiting for someone else to like slow cook a squirrel for me so I can try that because maybe that's
I'll
the
tell you
jam.
what.
I don't know.
Would you be
Peppers
willing?
and onions.
Let's
You're
do
gonna
it.
cook a fuck yeah,
Yeah,
let's get
let's
a
do it.
squirrel. I'm into it.
I actually just
Call
had one.
Randy.
There's one that's on the
What is
side
this,
of the
the
building that's
Roadkill
been dead for a
Cafe?
couple weeks.
Yeah, there's one that's bloated
Oh,
out
wait.
back that's got dog shit on
Wait,
it
yeah,
also.
we got a reputation to retain here. Ours.
Oh, a solid one at that too.
I could catch a hood squirrel. I live up the street.
A
I'm sure
hood
we
squirrel.
A hood
Catch
squirrel.
a big old fat one. We have huge trash pandas in this neighborhood
Oh,
also.
trash panda. Is that what you call them?
Yeah.
If anything, I'm just learning so
raccoon.
much different lingo that
Sorry,
I didn't
I'm
know prior to
such
this.
a weirdo and I'm from
No,
Southern
not
Cal-
at all.
Usually people are like, where the fuck are you from?
So SoCal. How SoCal?
San Diego.
Okay. San Diego's great,
Mexico,
by the way.
basically.
San Diego's great, by the way.
Yeah,
I
it's
hate
beautiful.
anything like north of it, and I have family from Riverside, so I've been there a
It's
lot.
kind of like this.
I hate most of
Yeah.
Cal, truthfully.
No, northern
Wow.
Cal is great.
I
San
haven't
Diego's
spent
great.
a lot of time around Cal, but of all the cities I've been in, like LA, San Francisco, San Diego is definitely my favorite.
Burn LA. Just
Have you
put
ever
a fence around it.
It was good for like a minute, and then it
It's
was
good for,
like,
a day or two.
okay,
You're like, I've been there.
done
Oh my God,
that. Let's
everyone's orange,
leave.
and all of their parts are made of plastic.
They had in San Diego. There's the Gaslamp District.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking love it. It's so cool there.
Yeah, it's fun. There's tons of restaurants.
Lot
and
of
bars
good
and
restaurants.
Lots of places to shop,
Yeah.
and
And it's
cool
re-
that it's central and it's right by the convention
And they
center. and the
literally have
ballpark
gas
and,
lamps.
Yeah,
Like that's pretty awesome.
and it
Which-
was like it was totally Spanish. Like
Yeah.
they settled and made all their missions, and then tried to force everyone into Christianity. But yeah, they
Of course they
literally
did.
there were gas lamps along that area.
And we're gonna try to get everyone into Christianity again.
Yeah, this podcast.
That's not
Actually, sorry. I mean, we waited about 50 minutes into it, but the
Bye.
overall thought here
How are
is
you-
that
how do
we
you feel about
really,
the Lord?
Yeah. Has He saved you? Because He will.
If only you asked
Are we
me.
gonna get baptized with bourbon?
Yes.
Yes.
We've been doing it for about 15 minutes now.
Right.
So yeah.
So what we are going to do is we're going to take a break, let everybody's kind of like use the restroom if they need to. I'm looking at Carissa, and I don't know why, because she's been there quietly.
She has bathroom face.
And then we'll come back and go at it again.
Sounds good.
All right. So we just took a break. I want to come back, and one of the things I want to come back to this. Let's talk about this place. I mentioned we're on location. It's probably going to be noise, but I love that shit. By the way,
I do
so
too.
I'm fine with it.
Coolers.
I know because I read that this was Jaworski's meat shop.
Yeah, butcher
Is that-
shop.
Butcher shop. Is that what it was called?
Jaworski's Meats.
Jaworski's Meats. They're in Middleburg Heights now,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So they kind of like left this eclectic area, and and that's not a bash. It's
Yeah.
just like
No.
I've never been here, by the way. I'm getting this vibe for the first time. So what is it about this building? Because it's really sweet. You kind of gave us a tour of it and everything, but it's like there were things you wanted to tell us. I was like, save it. So what can you tell us about this building?
So the original build of this building was actually a 2-story furniture store. So upstairs was like floor-to-ceiling windows, and the furniture was displayed up there. And everybody that we've talked to says that it looks like something that was like should have been on like Euclid Avenue, right?
Okay.
Like, and we're talking like early 1900s.
This building's been here that long.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So it's an old building. I mean, the wood columns that are in here are not just for decoration. They do hold up, and those same wood columns run, parallel down in the basement and to hold the floor joists up, which is really cool. And so this neighborhood itself was pretty much put together by immigrants who moved here to work in the steel mills. They built their homes and then would build businesses. So at one point in time, there were tons of butcher shops and bakeries. And I mean, if you talk to anybody who's either has lived here or still lives here, they will tell you about, the festivals and all of these things that would take place. So a lot of Polish, a lot of Slovenian, a lot of Eastern European, essentially.
God, we got to build that wall. It's just, it's out of
Yeah.
control.
It's out of
We
control.
gotta keep all these people out.
I mean, all these people coming here and making great
Right.
businesses and supplying great food. We gotta get this shit out of here.
Building shit.
God.
But it was cool because
Anyway,
it was
continue, illegals.
oh my god. Don't even get me started on that fucking tangent. Southern California
Yeah,
would lose your
SoCal.
goddamn mind.
What?
The whole country would stop. No one would eat, and everyone would fucking
That's why they
famish
have
and
to
die.
split like SoCal and NorCal. Get it.
Two different
Be
states.
done with it
There
already.
are like literally
Absolutely.
counties
Oh,
that
there's-
want to secede from,
Oh, I know.
from the state.
Hate-
Because
I hate
Southern
each other.
California has screwed up so fucking much. NorCal's like, we don't even want to be associated with you. You guys, like, they don't want to absorb all the problems that they're creating.
I
It's
had
nuts.
actually, and I didn't realize this, but I went on a client visit and I offended a client by telling them like, "Oh, I have family from Northern California." Blah blah blah. They're like, "NorCal."
Oh, yeah.
No,
It's like
I'm
North and
sorry.
South Korea.
SoCal.
It's
They're like, fuckers. They use all our water.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, I had no
really
idea.
scary.
I'm so sorry.
how dare they drink water?
But we were talking about this.
water. So
Church
back to
Slovak
Slavic
Oh, yeah.
Village. We'll just spin it right back to Slavic Village.
Right.
Sorry, yeah, full
No,
circle.
but like the cool thing about hearing all these stories and us like not being from this neighborhood but really loving this neighborhood is that people talk about it being the kind of neighborhood that you didn't have to leave to go anywhere else. Like you would walk to work, but everything you needed was here. And like there's even couples that we know that are, I would say like what, maybe early 60s, late
Yeah.
50s, talk about how like he grew up south of 54th, so he didn't ever pass East 55th on Fleet Avenue because there was no reason to, because they had their butcher and they had the bakery that they went to,
Right.
they had the church that they went to, like everything that they needed was between
Their grade school.
Yeah, like
Oh,
between
yeah, that's amazing.
50th and 55th. And she grew up on the other side, like
57th and up.
yeah, so like they didn't ever meet until they were much older, which is like fucking mind-blowing, right? Because you're from the same neighborhood essentially within blocks of each other, but because it was such a rich neighborhood and like people had their places. I mean, same thing is kind of now I feel like in Cleveland, like if you go to a butcher shop, it becomes your butcher shop. If you
Yeah.
go to
Yeah.
a bakery, it becomes your bakery. And part of it may be geographical, like You live in Cleveland Heights, chances are you go to On the Rise. You're not going to drive to Lakewood to go to Blackbird. Like, that's
that's funny.
not a
You're
thing.
absolutely right. And there are certain types of businesses where that actually is the case. If you go to a butcher, that's your butcher. You go to a bakery, that's your bakery. It's funny you said that's 100% true. It's not like restaurants or bars or anything like that, because obviously if someone's like, yeah, I tried something new, but something like this, for some reason, like a butcher or a bakery, just trying to stay in that, it's a specified, especially now, it's more specified type of business because they're not that common.
They're not.
I mean, I'm from Akron. I couldn't name a butcher shop in Akron. I really couldn't. But around here, there's maybe a couple. But again, it's a couple.
It's a couple.
It's a specified. It's a group of people that know what they're doing.
I think part of it is what we talked about when we weren't recording, though, right? And I use myself as an example. Like, I'm fucking lazy, right? So I go on Giant Eagle. I order all my shit on like the app, right? Now I come here and I try something, and I'm like, wait a second,
That's the difference.
Yeah,
though.
that's fucking
See,
better.
You take the way that everything's kind of moving toward like apps, Uber, things like that are making grocery shopping and eating simpler. Then you find the contrast of that, which is someone who's not on Uber Eats, who's not quote unquote easy to get to. Not that this is a hard location to
Oh my God,
find,
it's so easy.
but
Yeah,
it's
super
not like
easy.
Giant Eagle where you have that curbside shit like that. But now you're confronted with do I want something that is 200% better or something that's kind of easier for me?
And it's about those connections with people,
I
right?
think that's kind of the dichotomy between who's going to decide what. You know, I think there's a lot of people out there that will decide the easy route, but I actually think there's a large number of people, and I'd even say a growing number of people that's going to opt for the better quality. I really do believe that.
I mean, we get customers all the time who drive here who they come for
Yes.
like Strongsville. We get people that come from Avon, you know, Shaker. We built this clientele from all over, which is amazing, and they're willing to drive here. And the best thing about it is the conversations that we get to have. I mean, her and I love that. We love standing at the deli case and being hunched over it and talking about like, oh, how was little Timmy's basketball game or whatever this week? Like we've I don't even know if any of our customers have kids named Timmy, but
do.
they do now.
Timmy's like
Yeah.
the universal.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Timmy's overrated. I don't think he passes.
Maybe it's
enough.
Tommy. Maybe it's Tommy.
I don't think he passes enough, but whatever, it's fine.
There's something to be said about that conversation that you have over the deli case where
Agreed.
you have an experienced, educated butcher / chef who can walk you through, you know, cooking a piece of meat you're not super comfortable with, or different ways that you could take something that may look a little bit expensive and stretch it over 4 or 5 meals and feed
It's a
7 or
specialized
8.
recommendation.
Right.
To
You're not
something
going to get
that people
that.
maybe don't think as much that they actually need.
Right, and you're not going to get that at Giant Eagle, right?
No,
Do-
no,
do-
God,
the-
no.
I mean,
They don't
and
fucking
going through the checkout line, like you order online because, God forbid, you had to stand in a checkout line,
Yes.
right?
Or
lazy.
interact with people.
Yeah.
Right,
He's gained
but
weight,
like
too.
coming in here, you know, coming into a place like this, you build those relationships, right? And like, I think just as we're excited to see certain customers walk through the door, they're just as excited that when one of us isn't here, they're like, oh my God, the world ended. And you're like, no, it's
Where's
fine.
Melissa, what's going on?
Penny's, you know,
He and I
took the
talked
day off
about
or
this
whatever.
On numerous occasions. We go to places for people that we like. We really, really do.
Right.
But that's
There's-
part of something that's like totally lacking in our society. Like,
Agreed.
it's a joke to me because social media is a huge part of how we market our business. Like, it's 100% of the marketing, other than like kind people like yourself who show up here and want to talk to us or write an article about us or put us on TV or like whatever it is. Like, that's all super, super amazing and super integral to us growing our business. But like, it is social media. So we put out all these blasts and all this stuff and we're doing all this social media, but like, really the crux of our business is you standing on one side of the deli case and us standing on the other. Like, oh, you've never had any of these charcuterie items? Like, you don't know what tasso ham is? Let me slice you.
Can you
some
say
of
that
all of
word
this.
again?
Charcuterie.
Oh, we all pronounce that incorrectly.
Charcuterie?
Everyone.
Charcuterie.
Vive la France.
Charcuterie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been fucking that shit up for years.
Just be like cool and just say charcutes.
I've been saying charcuterie.
I mean, that's not really cool,
like an
but
idiot.
I say meat plate. I don't.
Yeah.
You can also say that. You can also say it.
But I really
Jesus
like the way she did it.
Christ.
One more time for our listeners.
For us.
I'm really shy now. Charcuterie.
Charcuterie.
Vive la
Oh, I am
France.
gonna
I just like to
blow
mix
away.
it
I'm gonna
Charcutes.
blow away that
Yeah,
teenager at
charcutes.
Tremont next time I order this.
So,
I had the charcuterie board.
I had actually-
Oui, oui.
I know we're getting off topic again, but this is what we do. I had read that weren't you asked by the restaurant in Marriott and Keep Me Square to do the charcuterie?
Char, not
You
char.
are so confused. Homegirl over here,
Okay.
Melissa, she left and went to Atlanta and worked at this place called Abattoir.
Okay,
You know what that means in French?
Spoon?
We're gonna
pronounced
learn. We're gonna
Avatar.
learn all of the things in French.
All
today.
French.
Abattoir.
Means
We
slaughterhouse.
drank all your bourbon, by the
It's
way.
fine.
Sorry.
You brought it. We should drink it.
To be fair, I paid for that shit.
Whatever.
It
We
was
gave
a
you beef
gift.
jerky. It
I've
was a
also
fair
had
trade.
so much beef jerky.
Yeah.
Like dinner's
He's like
worth of
never
beef
gonna
jerky.
We
poop
ate their
again.
food and drank their
He's
booze.
gonna get the meat
Well,
sweats.
we
I'm
ate their
sorry.
food and drank our booze, but they got some
No,
of it.
it was a gift.
Yeah, but
Let's move on.
what is better than to share a gift of
No,
bourbon?
that's so true. Anyhow, charcuterie.
Charcuterie.
So she started
Okay.
ran the charcuterie program,
Okay.
started the
Right.
charcuterie program at a place called Abattoir, which means
Slaughterhouse in French.
I love that.
oh, the
See?
French, oui, oui.
And that's where our name actually comes from. So it was the first like
Saucisson.
charcuterie item that I was given to
Oh,
make
okay.
solo, and like
Hey.
didn't breathe for like 6 weeks waiting for it to turn out because I thought if I screwed it up the chef would kill me, and
Which is
it turned
highly
out,
likely.
which was highly probable.
What goes
Slaughterhouse, I mean, she would
into
get slaughtered.
charcuterie?
It depends on what you're making. So what I made for that one was just saucisson sec, which is this dried sausage essentially.
Okay.
So it's very regionally different. It could have red wine in it, it could have white wine in it, it could have a lot of herbs, it could have a little bit of herbs. So it's kind of like mom's meatloaf, right? Everyone's mom's
Yeah.
meatloaf has a little bit of something different into it, and I feel like it's the same with a lot of
My
charcuterie
mom's
items.
meatloaf had ketchup.
Lots of moms put ketchup.
They do.
Yeah, that's
It's kind of
do.
like the secret
With-
mom ingredient.
It's funny because being Italian, right? I grew up.
you're French. We disturbed.
I know
Yes.
DNA.
But he believes he's Italian. I had a conversation with another friend who found out that he was mostly Irish, and it like really broke his heart because he's
Yeah.
like, he's Italian to the core. And I just said to him, I was like, dude, it's cool. You're Italian. Like, be what you identify
Yeah,
with.
it's culture, not DNA.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. So you brought up dried sausage. Coming from an Italian background, my grandfather made dried sausage, hung it in the fucking attic.
Yeah, and
Right.
you live to tell about it, right? Right?
Yeah. Best
Exactly.
shit ever.
And made wine that will just plaster you to a wall because
Yep.
it was not like Carlo Rossi.
Yeah, it's like rocket fuel.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
fucking brutal. Yeah.
But like, I think about Italian dried sausage versus French dried sausage. Like, what's the difference? Spices?
Spices.
Technique? What is it?
I would say a lot of the techniques definitely double over and overlap. It's mostly spices. It's
Yeah. And
And
mostly
it's like wives' tales. It's like
Yeah.
old grandmas and grandpas telling you stories about how, like, the German guy says you got to twist it 8 times when you
Uh-huh.
make sausage, and then the Italian guy says you only twist it 5 times, and like there's specific reasons why
And
it's
then
8
they
times
fight.
and 5 times. But it's all bullshit. I mean, you're making sausage, right?
Right.
This guy uses beer. This guy uses wine. This guy uses vinegar and wine and beer, like because he's crazy and he's doing it
Right.
non-traditionally. But it's like I feel like it's the care that's given, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's what really matters. Like the crazy old dudes that's making whatever, and hanging it in the basement or the attic or behind the toilet in the bathroom, whatever
Sure.
floats your boat. There's good humidity there or something.
So back to Slavic
Temperature
Village.
control.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Actually, I kind of do want to go back to Slavic Village. So, Patrick and I were talking about this earlier because this is something that, in this day and age, especially kind of in the area of Cleveland that's growing and developing, kind of like redefining itself. How did you decide on Slavic Village? And I only ask that because, again, there are so many little pockets outside of Cleveland. Like I talked about the Ohio cities, which probably would have been a good fit just because just the way that it is. But all those little areas that are out there. Well, I'm just saying, Ohio City is just so bar and
Well, it's
and
densely
restaurant.
populated.
Yes.
So we do restaurant deliveries too. So we're a state inspected meat processing facility.
Okay.
So like we do the restaurant deliveries. So like one of us throws a bunch of coolers in our cars and we're driving around Cleveland right now. Like the hope is to grow that and have somebody else do that for us. But that was one of the reasons that we chose this neighborhood. It's very centrally located. I like to joke that this is South Central Cleveland, and I don't mean that any disrespect. That literally we are south and central of downtown. Like this is
No,
not
I-
really the east side; it's South Central.
That's kind of my question. That's kind of the reason for my question is because, like, again, I'm in Lakewood, and I was in Lakewood 20 years ago,
Yeah.
5 years ago when I was in college, and
Wait, what?
yeah, I backed out there. Yeah. I dated the fuck out of myself there.
20 years
Anyway,
ago, you were in 5th grade,
Back
though,
in,
so,
back
you
in
know.
1941 when I was in, Pearl Harbor, and I was in college. Well, what I mean is, so like when I was in college, literally 20 years ago, I was in college, and I would come to Lakewood. Now I'm living in Lakewood, but some of the parts are the same. Some of the restaurants, bars, same.
Yeah.
Others completely different, and they rotate constantly. So my question is, does that kind of go into play when you're picking a place to start your business? Because I mean, there are places in Lakewood. I've lived in Lakewood for 3 years. There are certain restaurants, bars, whatever, that have been 5 different things since I've lived there.
I mean, it was important to us. I mean, I think overall is we wanted to be part of something, right?
Okay.
So if you bring it back a little bit of history on Slavic Village, it was the hardest hit area in the United States during the foreclosure crisis.
Okay.
There's an episode of Dateline with Dan
didn't know
Brathers
that.
walking down Fleet Avenue. So it has overcome a ton, and it has gotten a bad rap. And one of the issues that we see with and feel with some of these other neighborhoods is that we do a really good job of building them up, but we do also an amazing job of kicking out everybody who lived there forever. And then we just shuffle the problems from neighborhood to neighborhood. So when you bring up Slavic Village to folks, you either have one or two memories about them, right? It's either that neighborhood used to be so great, or oh my God, I'm not going over there. I'll get shot, murdered, killed, raped, beaten, robbed, all of the things, right?
Wait,
so
am I going to be okay? getting
you're
in my
totally
car?
fine. We have butcher knives. You're fine.
But also, too,
I'll be
like,
okay.
it's,
You're fragile.
So
They'll target you.
if you think about back when you got out of college, Tremont, nobody went into Tremont after 5 o'clock. You were afraid you were going to get stabbed,
It's true.
right?
Tremont
And
has
now,
had this weird kind of aura around it where back then, Tremont was basically like 5 blocks, and outside of that, everyone might as well consider that Beirut.
right.
It was really, really
Right.
Dude, it's
Which also, by
true.
the way, I'm half Lebanese. So just watching in the Beirut, I'm just saying. I'm just mad. I'm just
Let's take
joking.
a break. 'Cause let's take a break because I had another bit on Beirut. That I think 4/5 of us would have loved. But some sensitive parts.
Some
of this podcast
sensitive
won't.
parts. No, but absolutely. Like Tremont used to be
It's like a circle of safety
right,
around it.
and
And once you got out of that area, you're like, whatever.
Right.
It's not like that anymore.
And it's not. And it takes people like, if there wasn't people like Michael Simon and Heather Havland who were
Exactly,
willing to
yes.
take a risk on a neighborhood. One of the things that we have to remember is that like the people that live here, not every single person is bad. Not every single person that lives in Ohio City is bad, or the Tremonts, or all these things. They are a product of their environment and are trying to struggle and be able to push away just that same negativity that you're trying to do, right? So when every business and every person bails on them, then they're left with a home that they own that they can't sell. Then they're left in a situation that they can't do anything about. And until somebody says, you know what, hey, these people deserve to live in their homes. They deserve to have amenities like a butcher shop or a bakery or even a freaking grocery store somewhere that you could get food that doesn't suck. Then we have to say, okay, let's stop putting up $550,000 townhomes with 10-year tax abatements when the people that have lived their entire life are going to absorb that tax abatement, and then they're like
The tax
pushed out of
abatements
their
have
home.
got to stop.
They gotta
in
stop.
Cleveland.
They gotta stop.
It's so bad.
It's
It's
ridiculous.
been going on so long that the tax deficit is.
Who actually pays fucking tax
Yeah,
anymore?
exactly.
I bought a house up the street from Slavic Village Development, has like an offshoot called Slavic Village Recovery. So they take homes that are in, like, they have good bones, you know, and they gut them, and they typically put a new roof, new windows.
Okay.
They refurb it, so it's a little bit more modern, like new electrical, new plumbing, stuff like that. Like, it's not super fancy, but it's like move-in ready.
Yeah.
Like, it's, your house is ready to roll.
Well, the stuff
And,
like
like,
the things you just mentioned don't have to be fancy. They
No.
have to be
No,
workable.
they have to be
Yeah.
workable. And like,
That's not
okay,
cosmetic stuff.
We'll talk about how I'm from Southern California. I never thought I'd actually be able to buy a house, let alone
Right.
own a
Yeah, right,
business
yeah.
and buy a house. Like,
Yeah.
that's insanity, right?
Because an apartment in Southern California is $750,000 for a one-bedroom.
Yeah, for a weekend.
For a cardboard box in
and
the
also,
alley.
you know, like that's what I thought. Like, I'd buy a cardboard box and live in an alley for the rest of my life. So I have a house that has, like, it says 3 bedrooms, but it's like 2.5. There's 1.5 bathrooms. Like, there's a huge basement. There's a living room. There's a porch. There's a backyard, and there's a garage. Like, it's mind blowing to me. But they're doing this because they want people to have affordable housing. And so
Yeah.
I ended up getting a tax abatement a year after I moved in, and like, yeah, that's really awesome for me financially, but the thing that terrifies me is I think about Cleveland
Sure.
schools. Like,
Yeah.
my biggest beef about like our society in general, besides our constant fascination with our gadgets and looking at social media and thinking about what Susie and Jane are doing their whole lives instead of like living our own,
Oh shit! I just got a text.
is like
I just got a tweet. Excuse me.
that
I'm live tweeting this.
health
now.
and education are not taken seriously enough, and I'm totally gonna just rabbit hole way the fuck away from everything
Fire
that
off.
we're talking
No, that's
about.
what
But
we
like, if you're not educating the youth and like allowing people to learn to read and write and do arithmetic and like understand their culture's history, their country's history, and like all these things that are super important, we're just gonna see society continue to like
Degrade.
go into the crapper.
Yeah.
And then we're also not teaching people about health, because like eating food that is good for your body is important, and good food shouldn't be cheap, but also cheap food shouldn't be so accessibly available. Like it's so fucked up to
That's-
me. And then not having health care.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool, we own a small business, and like, yeah, like we're gonna do what we have to do to like get a little bit of assistance to have some like medical health care, like so that we can go do the things that we need to do and be like mid to late 30-year-old women. Like it's important to take care of your body, because if you don't take care of your body, you can't take care of your mental health.
Agreed.
You can't take care of your community, your emotions, like all of that stuff. It's super, super important. So yeah, like I'm stoked that I have a tax abatement for 15 years because it's financially helpful for me, but I feel like I'm fucking my community, because the schools in this neighborhood, like they need some love, like everywhere. Like we found out yesterday from a friend of ours who's really good friends with a librarian. She's a children's librarian in this neighborhood. Her
mind-blowing.
budget for fucking programming
For an entire year.
is
Nothing.
$375.
That's
Are you
fucked.
fucking
nothing.
kidding me?
That's
like
fucked.
she can't even buy enough glue sticks for every kid that she
Yeah.
sees.
And
like,
that's kids like toddlers all the way
toddlers
up.
to teenagers. Like
Yeah.
what the fuck? Like
That's
what
fucked.
are we doing? What are we doing?
No.
Sorry. I
No.
totally rabbit holed into
I'm-
it.
Like those are the people that should get tax abatements, right? Like
No, I'm
people,
sorry.
like not the people that are buying $500,000 fucking condominiums.
See, you said I'm sorry, and you shouldn't be. A lot of things we were kind of talking about that we were kind of alluded to is why you picked this location, And a lot of things you talked about was we picked the location because we like it, and we think that locations like this don't have
They deserve a chance.
amenities
They deserve
like
a
this.
chance.
Whether you believe it or not, this is an amenity. It very much is.
Yeah.
I don't think you're gouging the community. I don't think you should feel bad about being in the. And I don't think you're gouging anyone in the community at all.
No, we're totally not. But it's so frustrating to me to think about, like, I don't know. It's like the world of haves and have-nots, and like,
Agreed.
there is no more middle class, and that's dying, and that's really fucking whack. And like, I could blow up about our government, but I'm gonna try not to. Instead, I'm gonna flip it to something that I can talk about positively that we do in this neighborhood. So every June, there's a farmer's market in Slavic Village that kicks off the second Monday in June. And we are part of something called the Village Feast. So it is a community meal meant for our neighbors and Slavic Village, North Broadway, anyone that lives in this general area to come meet their neighbors and to kick off the farmer's market. So this is a 100% like donation and grant-based event. And last year we fed 500 people. So we close off 54th, which is right next to our shop, down like 2 or 3 driveways, and we set up these long, huge tables, and like we ask people in the community to help us. So there's 2 halfway houses that we work with that are a bunch of gentlemen that are like trying to get their lives together, and like they should be part of this. So they come and they help us set up and they help us break down.
And they
also
sit
get
down to
fed.
eat.
Like they sit down. Like you're part of our community. Like you deserve to sit and have this family-style meal with everybody else that frickin' lives here. And like the whole idea is to get people out of their houses, to talk to each other, to engage, and to like
Share a meal. It's
yeah,
communal.
just like enjoy. Like
we all
it's
eat.
a giant family meal for
Yeah.
all intents and purposes. So, P.S. I'm just gonna plug this shit hard now.
No,
all you
please do.
podcasters,
Please do.
Like you can email us at iheartswine@saucissonCleveland.com. You can call our shop 216-303-9067. Like we're taking donations. Like you have $5, you have $50, you have $100, whatever. Like if you have a business and you want to be a donor and sponsor this thing, cool. We'll put you on publications. But like, this is super important to us because the whole idea is that her and I hope with the other community partners that we have, Joe Linsky and Lynn Rodman and Russell Welker, to like literally shut down Fleet Avenue and have it be like a fucking festival where we're feeding everyone in the neighborhood, and like there's more activities. Like last year we added hula hoops for the kids, and like the parking lot behind us, and like we're gonna add sidewalk chalk, and
We have 3 young boys that live in the neighborhood who chipped their allowance together and they bought a snow cone machine. And
Jesus
so
Christ, good for them.
we buy the snow cone syrup and then give them ice from our ice machine, and they hand out free snow cones at this event. Like I mean,
and
it's
they're
just
fucking Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
Like they're like
You
the
all
sweetest boys ever.
So I'm pretty sure he and I are on the same page. We were just looking at each other talking about this. So we want to love all of that. That's just fucking amazing. We want to, if we can, obviously we're not huge, team up. We want to
Yeah.
help with this for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got our live event next week. We'll raise money for it.
That'd be
We'll raise
amazing.
money for that.
That's
We'll
rad.
promote it. We will. I think our company may even do something with that. We'll obviously talk offline to see what we can do to kind of help out with that. I think that's fucking amazing. I really do. You speak very passionately about it, and I know it's important to you. I know we just met you. That kind of means it's important to us, though. I mean, we love the Cleveland stuff and the community stuff, and I think that's something that we want to get involved in. He and I didn't get involved in podcasts because we thought we were going to get rich, and to be fair, we thought we would. We're not.
No,
Gonna.
it's not panning out.
It's
So
been a
on to
year.
plan B.
It's been a year. We're literally like $800 in the hole.
Right.
But I think this is a really good thing that we can kind of throw this at. Even if we get a couple people,
But
whatever,
it's like, even
I
if
think that'd be
even
really
if
helpful,
get
and we
people
want to
from
help.
outside this neighborhood that just want to come volunteer for the day
Yeah.
and like
And
hang
we can
out.
get
Like,
that,
that's
and we can get
awesome,
that.
you
We
know?
want to
Like,
help
that's-
with that.
I mean, the important thing is that like we want to change the narrative of this neighborhood, right? So going back to the Tremont and all that stuff, like the narrative of this neighborhood is that yes, bad things happen. Bad things happen in every damn neighborhood, right?
Sure.
But there's development dollars in some of these other neighborhoods, so it doesn't make the news. But here, what you have are people of all different walks of life, ages, races that are fighting for their neighborhood. I mean, for God's sakes, a woman in this neighborhood brought us a ficus for Christmas 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 years ago with this massive red bow on it. And it was just like a thank you for being part of our neighborhood.
Like she bought it at the frickin' community plant sale at Washington Park, like literally across the highway on Fleet Avenue.
I'm just going to say that they poured out the rest of the bourbon, didn't even offer me any. I'm just
I
saying.
gave
I'm
it
just
to-
saying.
I gave it
I'll
to.
go have some.
I'm just saying. Oh, look at that. All of a sudden there's bourbon in my cup. But worked out brilliantly.
Well, you
Yeah.
dropped the ball on that.
Yeah, it looks like
I'm
your
looking at you.
nonprofit worked for you. Yeah, the nonprofit to give her bourbon worked out. Here, we got some jerky here.
Oh, look at that big old piece of jerky for you.
That's like a side of a.
No, this is a small alligator. I'm gonna eat it.
Eat
Do
it.
it.
Do it. But those are the people that we're passionate about representing, right? Because there is no reason for you to be afraid to come to this neighborhood. There's no reason for you. We live in a metro city. You should be cautious and paying attention to your surroundings at all situations,
This
no
is
matter
so fucking
where
true.
you're at.
Yep.
Downtown,
I've
Ohio
really
City,
never heard
like
anyone say, "Oh, dude, don't go to Slavic Village." No
Never.
one's ever said
Really?
that.
Well, I'm glad to
Never.
hear
good.
that. That's awesome.
That's
Good.
awesome.
No, really. No
Because
one
there
ever
are
said
people.
that.
We are changing the narrative.
There are people, and it seems to
Oh
be,
my God,
you
girls,
know,
where do I park? Is it okay if I come at noon on Saturday? Yeah, we open at 11 and we'll be here till 7.
Yeah.
So,
you know,
It's not Beirut.
tons of parking.
it's not.
There's free
Yeah.
It's not Beirut.
There's tons of free parking. Also, like you don't have to freak
Yeah,
out.
I'm pretty
Like,
sure I parked for
street
free. Did I park for free?
Yeah.
Yeah, you parked for free.
Fucking A.
Fucking A.
But the most important part about it is that like this is a neighborhood that we felt like we fit in, and we felt like that would be open to us being here.
I don't remember what article I read it in, and I actually feel bad for not citing these articles. But
Oh my God, you're so
Boys'
fired.
life.
well,
You're
it's kind of
such a crappy
dickish for me to
journalist.
like research all these things and not cite them,
need
right?
another one.
But anyhow, I remember I think it was you, Melissa,
Have 100.
that had said,
5.
"Hey, look, we chose this area because we believe that this is an up and coming area."
Totally.
How have you seen it change since you've been here?
Great question.
There's been a ton of change. I mean, since we've opened, so back to that foreclosure crisis. When we came in, we were the first new business in 15 years. That
Holy
wasn't
shit.
like a Metro PCS,
Really?
daycare, fly by the seat,
Wow.
fly by the night business. And so we just celebrated March 16th. We celebrated 2 years since we've been open, which is
And
why
we
we're
drank
drinking
all
this
your
beautiful bourbon that you guys brought us. And since we've opened, Brittany's Record Shop opened up on 65th and Fleet. Now she moved her business from Hingetown to over here. She lived in the neighborhood, is from this neighborhood, and wanted to bring her business to this neighborhood. Daisy's Ice Cream, which is an institution in this neighborhood, has been here for like 40 years. Ray and Daisy just wanted to retire, right? You know, and they were nervous about somebody buying it. Last season was purchased by Walter Hyde, and this will be his second season, so he's opening up weekends come April, and he'll be open full go in May. And
He's
so
awesome.
Daisy's Ice
We
Cream
love
is
him.
back and up and running. And then on the opposite side of us, Indoor Gardens, which is like a hydroponic like growing store. So that on the other side of us from the funeral home. And then since that has happened, you know, there's been a lot of people asking and poking and prodding. I
Every
think,
Tom, Dick, and Harry's checking it out, sniffing around. Where's the building I can buy? What's going on?
Right on.
but some of them don't have the right mentality behind it. They just want to pick up a building cheap because they think this is about to break, and they want to know that they can then, you know, make a buck off of it. I think the situation that we're in now is that who comes first? Do home buyers or businesses come first? Businesses want to know that there's more population here.
Traditionally, businesses do.
Right.
Which
And
sucks.
so the city and SVD, Slavic Village Development, have done an amazing job of cleaning up the abandoned houses. There's still a ton more work to do, and it doesn't happen overnight. And that's what, you know, the neighborhood didn't deplete overnight. It's not going to fix itself
Right.
overnight, right? So as we all know, that any politician or any political navigation takes a minute to get through, especially when you're going through foreclosures and trying to track down the stupid LLCs that people shifted a house through to make sure that they could keep it, or whatever shady shit they did. So they've done a really good job of like cleaning up the houses and getting them torn down and trying to button them up. And there's more work to be done. There's a ton more work to be done.
But it's so amazing because it's like last year they got under 1,000 homes, like vacant properties, foreclosed on, whatever, either torn down or taken care of, like buttoned
Rehabbed.
up, like figured out. So that's freaking amazing. Like,
yeah. I mean, remind you that Slavic Village is only about 4.5 square miles. So
Yeah, it's not
1,000
big.
homes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Think about that for a minute, that they got the number under 1,000 homes in 4.5 square miles. Think about how many homes that was vacant or foreclosed on or, you know, falling down.
straight up abandoned.
So how close to here did you grow up? Where did you actually?
So I grew up in like the burbs of Cleveland, in like Medina, Hinckley area.
Okay.
But I spent a lot of time
Sure.
going to the West
Yeah.
Side Market. One of the few Lebanese church, you know where Beirut is
Just south of here.
just south of here. One of the few churches is in downtown on Carnegie, St. Mary's. I was baptized there, so we would go downtown a lot. I went to Aladdin's Bakery. You know, like I spent a lot of my childhood in Cleveland, and I do remember coming to small areas like this to get pierogies because my mom was American, and like we would eat whatever. We ate a ton of different stuff. So these neighborhoods have come up and gone 10 different ways from, you know, what they used to be.
That's kind of the crazy thing about it is that some have. It's weird seeing that the ones that have kind of developed, redeveloped, reborn, completely just retooled themselves, and some that haven't at all.
Yeah.
That's kind of, I don't know. It's nuts to kind of see that because some of these things just weren't around 15, 20 years ago.
Not
They
at all.
weren't. And I love that. I really do. Like Slavic Village was not something that anyone even knew about, if it even existed, 5 years ago when I was in college.
And that's the funny thing about Slavic Village is like you either know about it or you don't.
I very much
And
agree.
there's a strong connection to
Yes.
it. Like, I love it being an outsider, like, to the whole shebang, because people are like, you know, they start telling me about, like, Grandma Betty that lived on 52nd, had this house, and, like, they knew growing up there, like, she always had these beautiful tulips, and then she would walk them down the streets of this place. What was that place called? Everybody talks about the Duck.
Oh
It
gosh.
was like a pub. It was like a bar, and this guy owned it and ran it, and you could get these like duck and pierogi dinners that were like unspeakably wonderful. And like, I mean, the man is long gone, and the place is gone, but like, I love
Fuddruckers?
hearing those stories.
Fuddruckers?
Definitely not Fuddruckers. I think you're thinking of like Brown Derby maybe.
Brown Derby's not that classy.
She's going through this beautiful memory, and you go, Fuddruckers.
But it's not my own.
I'm trying to get on board.
Fuddruckers was a beautiful memory for him. That foot-long hot dog that he
Oh,
always
never mind. I'm
loved.
sorry. No, I agree. That was bad.
No, it's funny.
You mean
It's
hooligans.
fine. Do you have enough flair on for that?
I have 15 flare, the max minimum flare.
Minimum flair.
The minimum required pieces.
I love
no,
that you
it's-
guys actually.
I love how you're
I love the passion.
slapping your lips. eating this.
You want to get on my team?
No.
I really love the way that you guys speak about the area that you guys are working.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
How much you want the area to improve. Not that it needs improvement. It's not a bad area.
No,
But
it's,
wanna see it
you
grow.
want more. You want more.
passion.
we
It's
want
passion.
more. I
You
mean,
want more.
We want a bakery. Like we currently drive, and we love driving to Gentile's because they make beautiful bread for us for our sandwiches. But like we're driving to freaking Broadview in Parma to get bread. Like how cool would it be if like we
Hell yeah.
walk down the effing
Hell
street
yeah.
and like get the bread from?
Yes.
And you can like, the customer come in and go, hey, where'd you get this bread? Right fucking there. See that corner of that building
Yeah.
right there?
Yeah.
That gray building? That's where I got it.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
great
That
would
would
that
be
be?
so cool.
I don't
And like
think
a
that's
coffee
far-fetched
shop,
that's
a
gonna
place for us to
happen,
be
though. I
like,
really
hey, oh, you want a cup of coffee? Sorry, we don't do that here. It's a butcher shop. We make a sandwich, a salad, a soup. Like
I don't think that's
tacos or
far-fetched because
whatever.
of what you
Go down the
two
street
have done.
2 blocks.
we hope.
Because
I mean,
of what you two have done, I don't think that's far-fetched. I think you've kind of set a trend where you can actually put bakeries in certain areas, and you're gonna trade off customers, like what you said. And this is something that I think is very rare. If someone comes in and says, "Oh, I kind of want this," and your response was, "You know who makes it really good? This place."
yeah. I mean,
no one wants to drive business away, but you're more concerned about the customer, not
Right.
the almighty dollar.
you want to make sure that you're building your community, right? And so whether you're spending your dollar in our store or you're spending it down the street, you're still building a community. You're supporting each other. You're collaborating. We don't do everything. We don't know how to do everything, right? And if we did, we'd be fucking millionaires because we knew how to do everything.
Or we'd be insane.
Or we'd be insane because you knew how to do everything.
You're not far from the insane, but please keep going.
So if you support each other and you're pushing for people to collaborate and helping promote each other and respecting what each person does, then you are building a community, whether you realize it or not.
Do you feel like you're the genesis of it in this community? And I'm not asking you to
that's a
put
big
right. I'm not asking you to put the weight of
Lord Jesus.
Well, I'm not asking you to put the weight of the world on your shoulders, but like when I read that article,
What's with your God complex?
your position literally was, if they presented it correctly, was like, look, we want to come in because nobody's coming in. We feel like this is an opportunity to do something great in a neighborhood that has the opportunity to really rebound. I mean, do you kind of feel like, was there anything here besides you at the time? I guess is what I'm really getting
Or
at.
at this point, do you feel a responsibility?
Yeah.
Well, I think we felt a responsibility before, and responsible in the fact that we wanted to find a community that we could get involved in and get behind and like be part of and like immerse ourselves in. So I'm pretty sure if Melissa didn't already own a home in Cleveland, she would have bought a home in this neighborhood. So, she's still in the city of Cleveland. So, but there are businesses that have been here for a really long time. Like there's the Red Chimney. That's like a family restaurant. That's a 3 meal. You can still go get like a frickin' breakfast for like $4 between 5 a.m. and 11 a.m. And it's a
Which
Greek
is
family,
great.
and like
Big Greasy Spoon Diner, who doesn't love that?
and they
Huge fan.
get really dope pies. What's that place called?
Mama Joe's Pies. Oh my god.
They have pie from there. So
Holy
it's like
shit.
if you go there for no other reason than to eat freaking pie, like you're doing yourself a huge service. And then there's Sophie, who has 7 roses, and she's an older Polish woman that we have donned like the Polish version of red. Like
Okay,
no
so
joke.
that's
No
like,
joke.
no.
like we were like fucking terrified. Like if she didn't like take us in, that we would probably get like blown out by like the Kielbasi mafia or something. So she sent all of her like henchmen, that's a total joke, people that work for her, friends of hers, down here to see what the hell we were doing when we first opened. And they'd ask for kielbasi and pierogi and like the things that she sells there and like traditional Polish products, things that are imported and things that she makes. I mean, that woman makes the best fucking paczki and the best goddamn potato pancakes you could ever want to fucking eat in your life. So she does like a buffet lunch. If you show up after the buffet's over, like she will literally make you fresh potato pancakes. Like she's no joke.
Fucking get down here, people.
But the first time we met her was like at a meeting for like business owners, like stakeholders essentially in the neighborhood. And like she'd already put out the spread. We were kind of late because we had done like deliveries or something that day. And she immediately went back to the kitchen, made us a giant platter of food. It's like, how do you say no to a grandmother that cooked you her food? Like you
don't.
can't say no.
don't.
You say, may I have some more, please? And you shovel that shit in your face as fast as possible. Enjoy it. Use a napkin. Try not to spit anywhere. But so there's other people here that have businesses that have been here through the ups and the downs and all of the things. But it's supporting them and like supporting where we're at and like trying to grow the street some more and have other neighborhood amenities.
I think that's great. And the way you described it too, as far as Red from Orange, like
She's
outside of Red and Poussey, those are the two best
characters.
characters.
Totally.
And with Red, it's the way like she actually ran the prison, ran it like I thought this would be ran in the neighborhood too.
Yeah.
So that's just the best way to actually describe that.
And she's an amazing woman.
Yeah.
I mean, and she will take her shirt off right there if you like.
All right, let's
Okay,
go now.
Well,
where are
Right
we
now,
going?
right?
Yeah, can we?
Is it open?
Yeah.
Is there a
She's
buffet?
probably closed right now.
Okay.
Okay, what time they
But
open?
she finally came down here and like donned us. Like she showed up with flowers.
She donned you. I
Yeah.
love
Yeah, like,
that.
she was
I
really
love
excited.
that.
She was doing something, maybe restaurant deliveries, maybe going to pick something up. I don't know. But she showed up and the shop was really like kind of calm and quiet. It was like a Friday. It was kind of the in between after lunch rush before people get off of work. And I walked her around and like showed her the things in the freezer and talked about the lard because she does a ton of baking. And so she was really pumped about that. She got some of that. She tried the tasso ham, which is a southern spiced ham that's smoked. So we make it out of the pork loin. It's rubbed and then smoked with applewood. And she like loved that. She bought like a pound of that slice and a bunch of other stuff. And then she made cookies that week with the lard. And then literally like the next week when we opened on Thursday, someone was here at 11 a.m. to get her more tasso ham.
That's awesome.
So is that? I mean, kind of having those interactions. I mean, is there kind of anything really better than that
No,
There's not.
It's awesome.
for what you do?
Totally awesome.
I mean,
And
is there
there's,
anything
like,
better than people in the community
No, there's like
responding to what you're doing and kind of understanding, accepting, and kind of embracing the stuff that you do?
Absolutely. And I would say second best to that would be somebody that doesn't live in this community coming in and being like, oh, this is a great neighborhood.
Yeah.
I think that would be second best for us.
Which honestly, that's, and I'm not just saying this, like in the last 2-3 weeks since we've been talking to you guys online to try to come in here and interview you, it's something that we've been talking to a lot of our friends and family a lot, and it's turned a lot of them on about it. And not to, I don't know, make it like a weird. A lot of them were kind of like lady butchers. You know, it's something they're like, oh my God, really? And I'm not trying to endorse, I think the way that a lot of people felt about that because they're not used to that, but I think it's kind of good, truthfully.
Yeah.
And they're turned on by it. They want to come check you guys out. I've had a couple pieces of the jerky, and I'm pretty much never going
couple.
to eat meat. Okay, more than a couple.
Pretty
I've
sure
had
it's
a
pounds.
pig's worth of.
He's gonna get the meat.
But I'm
sweats
never.
later.
I definitely got to come here and try the other stuff for sure. You guys are amazing hosts. Thank you.
So 5324 Fleet Avenue, Cleveland, 44105, right?
Yep.
You're open Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and you have a Sunday brunch
once a month.
once a month.
Brunch once a month. We pair up with like friends of ours in the industry. So we've had Porco here, Spotted Owl, LBM. So we pull temporary liquor permits and they
Or
come
beer
in
permits.
Wow, right
and
on.
do the booze. We've had Terrestrial here. So
Love Terrestrial. Love LBM.
yes.
Huge fan of LBM. That's
Better.
awesome.
Been here for 2 years, just hit your second anniversary. We drank all your bourbons.
Yep.
Sorry.
It's
technically ours.
No, it was a fucking
gift.
Dude, when it's
I have the receipt. I bought it.
when it's a gift, it's no longer yours.
Agree or disagree?
It's a hospitality thing, though. You bring someone a bottle, you open it. Like I
At the
lived
end
in
of the
Italy for
day-
a year in college, and like that was a deal. You showed up somewhere, you brought a
That's
bottle.
true.
Typically, someone
enough.
opened a
The
bottle,
truth-
and then even better is when they open a
The
better
truth is,
bottle
when
and
we
they share that.
record where we usually record, we get everybody drunk anyway. So we kind of owed you.
And one day, you guys will come down to the studio. You will have all the beer and
The
whiskey on.
studio.
Oh, fine.
Hey,
Basement, murder room, whatever.
There's, but there's a lot more to talk about. Things
So
that we
much.
didn't get to. I'm bummed that we didn't talk more about your start of Saucisson and through the farmer market and how like that all became what it is today. Andrew Zimmern. There's a lot to talk about still, and I'm pretty stoked that we're going to get together again because I think
for
I
sure.
think it's cool shit.
When I also
Thank
think
you.
the other thing is about you two is that even though you've gotten a lot of exposure, you really have, and I think it's great. We're really happy, proud of you guys that you are still willing to talk to people just in the area because you want to promote the area, you want to promote the city, you want to promote. It's not even just a business. You want to promote anyone that's willing to promote the area.
Absolutely.
And that's what we want to do, and that's why we're psyched that we were able to do this. and really excited that we're going to do it again soon.
Well, we enjoyed having you guys.
Yeah,
for
thank
sure.
you for coming.
Anything? I'm sorry, dudes. Both of them were taken too.
Oh yeah, and compliments to Patrick and I.
Yeah,
What?
you guys are super fun. This is funny and also hilarious, folks. 4 people, 3 microphones.
I know, fucking.
No, but it's like we all have technical
embarrassing.
difficulties. I said it earlier. If you don't anticipate that every day is going to be a shit show, you're not fucking doing it right.
Yeah.
So it's figuring out how to deal with the shit show. So they're like Lady and the Trampin' over there with that one mic.
Yeah.
It's
God,
like
that was
super.
hot.
I don't know if I want to do this
Sexy.
again unless there's only 3 mics. But yeah.
well,
so
we'll
it's
work
like-
on it.
Time, 2 mics.
well, I'll Lady and the Trampin'.
Damn straight. But again, thank you so much for having us. Thanks for meeting with us. It was amazing talking to you, and we're excited to do it again soon.
Awesome. Thank
Anything?
you guys so much
anything
for-
you want to plug or
Plug?
promote or
Yeah.
have
You
anything
can also
coming
get
up?
lunch every day that we're open to.
Okay.
So we do like hot food. So sometimes sandwich, tacos, nachos, kind of changes up. Basically, it's kind of what we want to eat that week, really. So
Okay.
pretty well known for our Cuban sandwich. We always have a salad. We always have a soup. And we try to make things. Right now, we are doing Lent specials. So Friday, you can get things that are vegetarian based. So it's something and we're pretty seasonal about that as well.
That's awesome. All right, man. That's
Thanks
all
a
I've
lot.
got.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you
You're
very
the
much.
best.
Hashtag love your farmer.
And swine and
Hashtag I heart swine. Hashtag
People.
People. Butchers. Hashtag
Love
your
people.
community. Be a
Yes.
nice person.
And
Don't be a dick.
We
don't
will,
be a dick, you
we
fucking
will definitely
dicks.
tag these guys where you're going to see posts immediately tonight. Come in here and buy some t-shirts because I'm about to.
Oh yeah, can we buy those?
We're definitely going to buy those
Yeah.
tonight.
All right, we're gonna spend some money.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you guys.
Using your own shirts.
Terrible way to end. Terrible way to end.
Your own shirts.
Oh, you still going?